All right, welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive?
Definitely.
Awesome. Today, we're tackling work-life integration.
Going beyond that simple balance idea.
Exactly. It's way more nuanced than that. We've got this great book as our guide.
Work and life integration.
That's the one. Organizational, cultural, and individual perspectives.
What are good things?
It covers a ton, from the history of work-life studies to how tech and even social policies impact things.
Should be interesting.
Totally. We're going to explore how all these pieces fit together and hopefully, help you figure out your own work-life puzzle a bit better.
How good.
So the book really dives into how our thinking about work and life has evolved over time.
Yeah, it's not just about splitting your time 50-50.
Right.
It's more about recognizing that work and life, they kind of bleed into each other constantly.
Totally. And what works for one person might be totally different for another.
Exactly. There's no one-size-fits-all solution.
Speaking of things that don't fit everyone, the book tackles those family-friendly programs companies love to brag about.
Yes, those
Flex time, childcare assistance, all that jazz.
sound great in theory.
Right. But the research actually paints a different picture.
Oh, really?
Yeah, often these programs exist more in theory than in practice.
Oh, interesting. I can kind of see that.
Sometimes they even backfire.
How so?
Say a company offers flex time, right? But then they kind of subtly penalize employees who actually use it.
By passing them over for promotions, maybe?
Exactly. Sure, you can have flexibility, but it'll cost you.
Ouch. Yeah, I've seen that happen.
Yeah.
Creates a weird culture.
Definitely. Makes you wonder how much these programs are truly about supporting employees.
Versus just looking good?
Exactly.
Mhm.
And this is where open communication is so crucial.
Oh, absolutely.
The book highlights research showing that leaders who, encourage these conversations, who are open to hearing about their employees' work-life needs without getting all defensive.
They create a way more supportive environment.
For sure. But, speaking up can be easier said than done.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It takes guts to bring up these issues, especially if you think your job might be on the line.
No doubt. But what I found really fascinating in the book is the emphasis on self-evaluation.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, how you see yourself, your self-esteem, your belief in your own abilities.
Okay.
That can massively impact your work-life experiences.
Right.
People with a stronger self-concept, they're more likely to look for solutions when they hit those work-life snags.
Instead of just giving up.
Right, exactly. They don't just feel stuck or defeated.
So building your own self-confidence, that's a crucial piece of the puzzle.
Totally. But it's not just about individual effort, right?
Right.
The book makes it clear that work-life integration is deeply affected by things way outside our control.
Oh, I see. What? Societal norms.
Yeah. Company cultures, government policies even.
Yeah.
Like take parental leave policies, for instance.
Yeah.
Scandinavian countries, their policies aren't just good for families.
They're not.
Nope, they actually benefit the economy too.
Wow.
Makes you wonder why more countries haven't adopted similar policies, huh?
Right. Seems like common sense when you look at the evidence.
Exactly. So it's not just about individuals figuring out their own balance.
Right.
It's also about pushing for changes that create a more supportive environment for everybody.
Makes sense. And that's where, I guess the book's focus on how organizations are structured comes in, right?
You got it.
Yeah.
It dives into how, even within the same job level, there can be huge differences in opportunities for work-life integration.
Not just a simple managers have it easier kind of thing.
Yep, it's much more nuanced than that.
Interesting. So what are some of those other factors that determine how much flexibility and control you have over your work?
Well, the book points to things like access to a predictable schedule,
Makes sense.
stable hours, opportunities for growth,
Yeah.
that sort of thing.
I see.
Think about it. If you're constantly worried about your hours being cut or your schedule changing at the last minute, planning anything outside work becomes impossible.
Oh, absolutely. Childcare, elder care, heck, even just finding time for yourself.
It all gets so much harder.
So are you saying that these kind of disparities in work-life opportunities are baked into how a lot of companies operate?
Exactly.
Yep.
And that's a key point the book drives home.
Mm.
It's not just about having, nice-sounding policies.
Yeah.
It's about making sure those policies are actually applied fairly at every level.
So it requires a real commitment from leadership, not just lip service.
Totally. They need to actually look at their practices and see if there are roadblocks preventing employees from achieving real work-life integration.
Right, and that brings us to flexible work arrangements, something that's often debated, right?
Definitely.
Do they actually boost productivity, or do they just blur those work-life lines even more?
The tough one.
Yeah, it feels like there's no easy answer.
And the research in the book backs that up.
Okay.
It's not as simple as saying flexibility equals good.
Right, right. So it depends on a lot of different things.
It does. The type of flexibility offered,
Makes sense.
the demands of your specific job, the overall company culture.
So let's unpack that a little bit. What are some different types of flexible work arrangements? And, how can they be done well?
All right, well, you've got flex time,
Okay.
where you have some control over your start and end times.
Right.
Then there's telecommuting, where you can work from home or, a remote location.
Yeah.
And then there are compressed work weeks, where you work longer hours but over fewer days.
Ah, okay. So lots of options.
Right. But the key is how those options are implemented.
And how the company culture supports them, right?
Exactly. For example, if a company offers telecommuting, but then expects employees to be available 24/7.
Yeah. Not exactly promoting work-life integration.
Right. It's just extending the workday into your personal space.
Like out of sight, out of mind.
More like out of the office, always online.
Haha. That's a good one.
And the book really gets into how important setting boundaries is.
Right. It's not enough to just have access to flexible work.
You also need strategies to protect your personal time.
Otherwise, work just takes over everything.
Yep. So it's about being proactive and intentional with how you use that flexibility.
It's not just a free pass to work all the time.
Exactly. It's about creating a structure that allows you to, be productive, be successful, but also honor your personal life.
Okay, that makes sense. But how do we actually make those decisions?
Well, the book introduces this framework called decision-making process theory.
Decision-making process theory.
For work-life balance.
Okay.
It's based on the idea that we're constantly making choices about how we split our time and energy between work and family.
Like a mental algorithm we're running all the time, huh?
Exactly. Weighing different factors, trying to find the best solution for each situation.
So those decisions are influenced by a lot of things, I imagine.
On tons of things. Your values, your job demands, your family responsibilities, even your perception of fairness, and your belief in your own abilities.
Wow, that's a lot to consider.
It is. Yeah. So it's not just about, I want to work from home 2 days a week.
Right.
It's about understanding, what's driving that desire.
Okay.
What trade-offs you're willing to make, and how that decision fits into the bigger picture.
Your overall goals, right.
Exactly.
So the book argues that by being more aware of this decision-making process, we can make choices that are more intentional.
Right, more aligned with our values.
It's about taking ownership of your work-life integration journey.
That's the goal.
That's powerful.
It is.
But how does this awareness actually translate into action? Like, how can we use this knowledge to actually make better choices?
Well, hold on a sec.
Oh.
Let's take a quick break and come back to that, right? We'll unpack those strategies in more detail.
Yeah.
So one of the most helpful things the book suggests is to start by, really reflecting on your values.
Your personal values?
Yeah, and your priorities. Like, what truly matters to you?
Okay.
What are your non-negotiables?
I like that.
Once you have a clear understanding of, your own needs and goals, it becomes so much easier to make decisions that actually line up with them.
It's like, you're saying it's like having a compass, right?
Exactly. To guide you through that work-life wilderness.
I love that analogy. You can navigate those tough choices and make sure you're headed in the right direction.
Exactly.
Speaking of navigating, the book also emphasizes communication.
Oh, huge.
And not just with your boss,
Right.
your partner, your family, your whole support network.
It's about having those honest conversations.
About what you need, what you're willing to compromise on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because work-life integration, it's not a solo mission.
Definitely not. It takes collaboration, understanding from the people around you.
Totally.
And speaking of understanding, the book delves into a really interesting aspect of work-life integration.
Oh, what's that?
Identity transformation.
Identity transformation.
When professionals become parents.
Ah, parenthood. Yeah, that's a big one.
It really is. It's like stepping into a whole new world, right?
Absolutely.
And your sense of self can really shift.
As you try to figure out this new reality.
Yeah, it's not just adding parent to your list of roles.
Right.
It's about, figuring out how that role weaves into everything else.
Your career aspirations, your interests, your
It
relationship.
impacts everything, and the book talks about this idea of identity integration
Okay, identity integration.
and how it's not always a smooth process.
You can say that again. There can be so much tension,
Yeah.
internal conflict.
Trying to balance your ambitions with, your new responsibilities.
The pressure to do it all can be overwhelming.
For sure. And then there's the guilt, when you feel like you're not quite measuring up in either role.
Ugh. The guilt is real.
It's like this constant struggle to find that balance point.
Between being a good parent and, a successful professional.
And the book doesn't sugarcoat it.
Nope.
It acknowledges that parenthood can be an emotional roller coaster.
Especially when you're also trying to manage a demanding career.
Absolutely. But it also emphasizes that there's no one right way to do this.
That's reassuring.
It's about finding what works for you, for your family, for your specific career.
Yeah, you got to create your own unique blend.
That honors all the different parts of who you are. And it's a journey, not a destination.
A journey, for sure. You're constantly evolving, adapting as your circumstances change.
The key is being patient with yourself, allowing for growth, for flexibility, and seeking support when you need it.
Couldn't agree more.
So it's about recognizing that work-life integration. It's not about reaching some perfect state of balance.
No, it's not about perfection.
It's about navigating the messiness and figuring out how to make it all work.
And that brings us to something really crucial that's often overlooked.
What's that?
Social policy.
Oh, okay.
It's easy to get caught up in individual strategies, company cultures.
Yeah.
But we have to remember that broader societal structures, policies, they play a huge role in all of this.
You're right. It's not just about personal choices and company perks.
It's about the environment we live in, the laws and policies that govern our workplaces.
They create the foundation.
Exactly. Things like access to affordable childcare,
Yeah.
paid parental leave, flexible work arrangements.
Those are essential, right? Not just nice to have.
Exactly. They can make or break a family's ability to thrive. And the book highlights research showing that countries with more supportive social policies
Yeah.
they have higher levels of work-life well-being,
Okay.
greater gender equality too.
So again, it makes you wonder.
Why haven't these policies been adopted more widely?
Right.
It's complex, obviously. Cultural and economic factors are involved.
Of course.
But the book's international comparisons,
Yeah.
they highlight that there are alternative models out there
Models that prioritize work-life integration.
and show that it can work.
So it's not some impossible dream. There are real examples of how we can create a system that supports families.
And recognizes the connection between work and life.
Absolutely. And it's not one size fits all either, right?
Oh, definitely not.
Yeah.
The book also dives into the challenges faced by specific groups.
Like woo.
Low-income workers, single parents,
Okay.
those caring for elderly relatives.
They face unique obstacles.
They do.
Yeah.
And they need specific support systems.
It's about recognizing those different needs and experiences.
And creating policies and systems that respond to them.
Making sure they're inclusive.
Exactly. And that leads to what I think is a really intriguing part of the book.
Okay. I'm intrigued.
It's the concept of a transnational approach to work-life policy.
Transnational. So looking beyond our own borders.
Yeah.
Learning from what other countries are doing.
I like that. Their policies, their successes, their failures.
It's all valuable. Globalization, you know, it's really intensified the need for this kind of research and collaboration. We can learn so much from each other.
Sharing best practices. Working together to create a more supportive work environment globally.
Globalization itself has been.
A mixed bag.
Yeah, exactly. On one hand, new opportunities, economic growth.
Right.
But it's also increased competition, put more pressure on workers.
Absolutely. The book acknowledges both the good and the bad.
Okay.
It highlights how globalization could lead to more flexible work arrangements,
That's the good side.
but it also warns about,
What?
the erosion of worker rights and protections in the face of all that global competition.
It's about finding that balance, right?
Yeah.
Reaping the benefits without sacrificing well-being.
And that connects to another important theme throughout the book, the power of speaking up.
We talked about that earlier, right?
We did. But on an individual level,
Okay.
it takes on a whole new meaning when we consider the collective power of speaking up.
Like when people band together.
Exactly. When individuals come together
Yeah.
and advocate for more supportive workplaces.
They can create real change.
Exactly. It's about shifting those organizational cultures. societal norms even.
We're not alone in this. We have the power to make things better.
And the book offers some great advice on how to do this effectively.
Okay, like what?
One strategy is building alliances.
Alliances.
Coalitions, finding common ground with others who are also fighting for work-life integration.
Not just parents fighting for family-friendly policies.
Right. It's about a broader movement.
Including anyone who values a more balanced approach to work.
Exactly. Building solidarity across different groups.
Our collective voice is stronger than individual pleas.
Much stronger. And the book also emphasizes how you frame the issue.
How you talk about it.
Yeah, it's not just about the benefits for individuals and families.
Okay.
It's also highlighting the positive impacts on the company itself,
I see.
like productivity, employee retention, overall well-being.
Making a business case for work-life integration.
Exactly. It's not just a feel-good initiative. It's a smart business strategy.
I like that. So what are some ways individuals can use their voices?
Well, the book talks about open conversations with colleagues and supervisors,
Okay.
engaging in collective action and advocacy efforts,
So lots of options. It's about realizing we all have a role to play.
in creating those supportive and sustainable work environments.
Being proactive, seeking solutions.
We have the power to shape the future of work.
I love that. So, what else does the book touch on?
Oh, this is interesting. It explores the idea of building what they call psychosocial capital
To psychosocial
for
capital.
improved work-life integration.
Okay, that's a new one. What does that even mean?
Okay, imagine a workplace
Okay, imagining.
where people trust each other.
Yeah.
They're willing to help each other out.
Yeah,
They feel connected to a common goal.
I like it already.
That's psychosocial capital in action.
It's about fostering a sense of community,
Shared purpose.
creating a culture where people feel supported, valued, not just as workers, but as human beings.
Yes. And the book argues that this sense of psychosocial capital
Yeah.
can really boost work-life integration.
Makes sense to me. Like, how so?
Well, when people feel connected to their colleagues, to the company's mission, they're more engaged, more productive. They feel supported in their efforts to balance work and life.
Creates a positive cycle.
Exactly. A positive work environment leads to well-being,
Yeah.
which then boosts productivity and engagement.
It's a win-win.
The book even points to research showing that
What?
organizations with high levels of this psychosocial capital, they have a lower rates of work-family conflict and higher levels of employee well-being.
So how do we actually cultivate this psychosocial capital?
Right. Good question.
Yeah.
Well, one big factor is open communication.
Makes sense. Transparency.
Creating a culture where people feel comfortable sharing their ideas,
Yeah.
their concerns, their experiences.
Without fear of judgment.
Exactly. Psychological safety is key.
It's about creating an environment where people can be themselves.
Absolutely. And the book also emphasizes fairness,
Oh, yeah, that's important.
equity, making sure everyone feels valued, respected,
Okay.
that they have equal opportunities for growth,
No
recognition.
matter their background or circumstances.
Exactly. A level playing field where everyone has a chance to succeed.
Breaking down those systemic barriers.
And finally,
Yeah.
it's about creating that sense of shared purpose,
Oh, right.
connecting people to the organization's mission
Helping them see how their work.
contributes to something bigger.
I love that. It's like finding that sweet spot, right?
Exactly, where personal passions intersect with organizational goals.
Creating a sense of meaning in the work itself.
The book argues that when you have all these elements,
The open communication, the fairness, the shared purpose.
you create a much more supportive, sustainable workplace
Where people feel empowered to integrate work and life.
in a way that works for them.
It sounds like a recipe for a thriving workplace.
One that benefits both the individuals.
And the organization.
Exactly.
Okay, so where do we go from here?
Well, that brings us to the book's final chapter.
Okay.
It focuses on connecting theory and practice
I see.
for better work-life outcomes.
Okay, so it's about taking all those ideas, the research, and actually putting them into practice.
Bridging that gap between academia and the real world.
Making sure that knowledge actually improves people's lives.
Exactly. And the book emphasizes the need for collaboration
Collaboration.
between researchers and organizations
Okay.
to develop practical solutions.
So it's not just researchers studying the problem.
Right.
They're involved in finding and implementing solutions.
It's a hands-on approach.
They're in the trenches.
And the book argues that this can be super effective for tackling work-life challenges
I see.
because it takes into account the specific context.
Of each organization.
Yeah, the needs of the organization.
Tailoring the solution to each workplace.
Ooh.
It's more personalized.
Recognizing that there's no one-size-fits-all approach.
Exactly.
So it's about looking at all levels of the organization, right?
The book highlights that too. It's not just about individual behavior change. It's also addressing systemic barriers.
Wow.
Creating a more supportive culture.
So taking a holistic view.
Work-life integration is influenced by factors at all levels.
Individual, team, the whole organization.
The book encourages organizations to think this way, to be more holistic.
Okay.
It's not just offering a few random programs.
Yeah.
It's creating a comprehensive strategy.
A strategy that acknowledges that work and life are connected.
Exactly.
Weaving it into the fabric of the company.
Making it a core value.
I love that. So any final thoughts from the book?
The book reminds us that work-life integration, it's a journey, not a destination.
We're always adapting, evolving.
Finding what works for us.
As individuals and as organizations.
And we all have a role to play.
In creating more humane, sustainable workplaces. Absolutely.
Okay, so before we wrap up this part,
Yeah.
you mentioned a thought-provoking question from the book.
Oh, right. I almost forgot.
Hit me with it.
The book asks, what role might emerging technologies,
Like what? AI.
yeah, AI automation,
Mm.
what role might they play in shaping the future of work-life integration?
That's a big one.
Will they create more flexibility,
Free up our time.
or will they just lead to even greater demands?
More expectations. Ooh, yeah, it could go either way.
It really depends on how we develop and implement these technologies.
It's a conversation we need to be having now.
Absolutely. How do we want to shape the future of work?
And how can we use these technologies to create a more humane world?
For everyone.
Wow, that's a lot to think about. But that's what makes this book so valuable. It's not just about answers.
It's about asking the right questions,
Challenging our assumptions.
envisioning new possibilities.
I like that. So, ready to dive into some real-world examples?
Let's do it.
I'm curious about those innovative companies you mentioned. The ones who are really nailing this whole work-life integration thing.
Yeah, they're doing some cool stuff. One of the biggest things is their shift away from that FaceTime mentality.
FaceTime, like you mean?
Yeah, that old school idea that success is measured by how many hours you're physically in the office.
Oh, right. But these companies are different.
Totally. It's more about the quality of your work.
Your ability to deliver results.
Exactly. They trust their employees to manage their own time.
To work in a way that's most effective for them.
And they recognize that everyone has different needs and preferences.
When it comes to how and where they work best.
Yep. And they're really intentional about creating a culture of flexibility and support.
Okay. Like how so?
Well, employees feel empowered to take advantage of flexible work arrangements.
Okay.
Adjust their schedules when they need to.
Right.
Take time off without feeling guilty.
Or worried about, repercussions. It sounds like they've figured out how to create an environment where people feel well supported.
And they invest a lot in employee well-being.
Oh, that's huge.
They understand that happy, healthy employees are more engaged, more productive, more creative.
Makes sense.
So they offer things like on-site childcare, wellness programs, generous leave policies.
This is recognizing that people are, people, not just robots.
Right, and that supporting them outside of work actually benefits the company too.
Absolutely, it's all connected. And speaking of connections,
Yeah.
the book talked about the importance of leadership in, driving this kind of cultural shift.
Oh, leadership is crucial.
Yeah.
It's not enough to just have policies written down somewhere.
Right.
Leaders need to walk the talk.
Be the example.
Exactly. Model the behavior they want to see. Create a culture where work-life integration is truly valued.
So creating a culture of trust, respect.
Where people feel comfortable setting boundaries.
Prioritizing their well-being.
Without being penalized or judged for it.
And this ties into another interesting trend the book explores. Purpose-driven work.
Ah, yes. More and more people are looking for work that aligns with their values.
Work that gives them a sense of meaning.
Beyond just a paycheck.
Yeah, we spend so much of our lives working.
Right. It better be something we find fulfilling.
And this desire for purpose, it's actually driving innovation in the workplace.
It really is. Companies are realizing they need to offer more than just a good salary and benefits.
They need to create a work environment that inspires people.
Engages them. Gives them a sense of belonging, of making a contribution.
Tapping into that intrinsic motivation.
That desire to make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
And work-life integration plays a big role in this.
Oh, how so?
Well, when people feel a sense of purpose in their work,
Mm-hmm.
they're more likely to be passionate, committed.
For more resilient, too.
Exactly. They can draw on that purpose to fuel them when things get tough. And the book has some really interesting examples of companies doing this.
Oh, I'd love to hear about that. What are they doing that's so different?
Well, one thing is involving employees in defining the company's purpose.
It's not just something management comes up with.
Right. It's co-created. Everyone feels a sense of ownership.
It becomes a shared mission.
Another approach is offering opportunities for employees to give back to the community.
Volunteering, that kind of thing.
Yeah. It's about integrating social impact into the work experience. People can connect their work to something bigger.
Making a positive impact on the world while also feeling fulfilled at work.
Exactly. It's a win-win. And the book also talks about the importance of, recognizing and celebrating employees' contributions.
Showing appreciation.
Creating a culture of gratitude and respect.
So it's a two-way street. It's not just about what the company does for the employee.
It's about recognizing the value the employee brings to the company.
That makes a lot of sense. And what about technology? We talked earlier about how it can sometimes blur the lines between work and life.
It can, but it can also be a powerful tool for creating more flexibility and balance.
It's all about how it's used.
Yeah, exactly. And the book highlights some really innovative ways companies are using tech to support their employees.
Oh, like what?
Well, for example, some companies are using collaboration platforms.
Okay, yeah.
Those platforms that allow employees to work together from anywhere.
Breaks down those geographical barriers.
Creates more flexible work arrangements.
So it's about using technology to create a more connected work environment.
While also allowing for more flexibility and autonomy.
I like that. What else?
Some companies are using scheduling software.
Scheduling software.
Yeah, to help employees coordinate their work and personal commitments.
So it's easier to juggle all those different roles and responsibilities.
Right, like having a personal assistant.
Haha, that'd be nice.
And there are apps that help employees track their time.
Okay.
Set boundaries, prioritize their well-being.
Giving them more control over their work-life balance.
That's the goal. Technology can be a tool for self-awareness, for empowerment.
Helping people make better choices about how they spend their time.
But, as the book stresses, companies have to be intentional about how they use technology.
It's not just about implementing new tools for the sake of it.
It's about using technology to actually empower employees, not to control them or micromanage them.
It's finding that balance where technology makes our lives better, not more stressful.
Exactly.
And I guess, ultimately, like the book says, work-life integration is an ongoing journey.
Not a destination. We're always adapting, evolving, finding what works best for us.
As individuals and as organizations.
And we all have a role to play in creating better workplaces.
More humane, more sustainable workplaces.
So let's be bold. Let's experiment.
Let's create a future of work that supports both our professional ambitions
and our personal well-being.
Well said. And that wraps up our deep dive into work and life integration. Hopefully it's been as insightful for you as it has been for us.
You've definitely learned a lot.
Tons of valuable insights, practical tips. Thanks for joining us. Keep the conversation going. Share your experiences. Be a part of creating a future of work that works for everyone.
Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep striving for that sweet spot where work and life come together.
We'll see you on the next deep dive.